Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Morning Coffee to James. I'm James, and this is my morning coffee show. How are y'all doing today? I'm doing pretty good. No coffee in my hand because I don't need one right about now. I don't need, I drank all my caffeine. I'm just kind of meditating right now. And today I want to talk about integrity. Integrity and sticking by your code to say. You know, sticking to your principles, sticking to who you are, and a lot of people kind of forget who they are. You know what I mean? Like being true to yourself. And especially in this time of COVID and all this nonsense, there's a lot going on that's kind of just pissing me off in a sense. Not to use a lack of a better word, but it's this thing that's doing this, you know what I mean? It's like, I see a lot of people who I know are good people, but letting the hatred get to them. You know, you see these signs out there that say no hate, and it's like, they know, those are the most hateful people because they have something to hate. You know, there's no hate here, but there's hate out there, and I'm gonna hate that. And it's like, you can't hate. You gotta love hate. Hate is a very strong word and a strong emotion because it's like you're angry at something and you don't want it to see it. You don't care for it. You know what I mean? And there are some things you shouldn't hate. You know, other people for being who they are, rather than what they for what they are, but who they are. You know what I mean? Like, if a person's an absolute awful human being, you can hate him. You know, you can't hate him for his skin color. That's different. That's just being, racially superior, like racially, phobic or some shit like that. Like, I feel like it's like stupid thinking in a sense, because it's like it's supremacy thinking. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm better than this person because of race. It's like, or creed or intelligence, and it's like, no, that's not true. You know, it's you've got these people who, walk around thinking they're better than everybody else, and they look down upon you too. That's hate in a sense too, because it's like they just don't care for you. They'd rather see you get hit by a bus because you're a waste of energy or some kind of nonsense. And hate is like is a real thing. It's like, if you hate somebody, it's an honest thing to be hateful of somebody. It's like, to quote Kane, revenge is motivation enough. If you're going to hate me, be honest about it. Like, yeah, because it's like, you do hate these people, but then you're like, no hate, we have love is love, it's love. It's like, no, it's not. It's like Mars Attacks, where they're shooting everybody, and and they're saying, we're your friends, you're your friends. It's like, they're not, that's how they get you, man. It's like, I knew this guy who was like, when Donald Trump got sick, and this is something I don't care if it's like, you don't like the dude, but leave his fucking family alone. Like Peter Fonda with the whole, I hope your son gets locked up in a cage full of pedophiles. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, yo, you could tell that to Trump, tell him to go fuck himself. He can be locked in a cage full of fucking pedophiles. But leave the man's family out of it. You leave the man's family out of it. Go after him. That's villainous. That's like unprofessional villainism right there, going after a man's family. Being friendly with them is a much more sinister thing, because it's like, you're getting to know the guy, and it's like, I don't know. It's like, don't hate the man's family. Hate the man. You can like a member of that family member. You know what I mean? Like, you can like that individual in that family because, like, oh, he's different, or this person's like, yeah. Melania Trump is very attractive. I mean, like, and Barron Trump seems like a good kid, Don Jr., same thing, a good guy. His sons are probably good people. His daughter's probably good people. You know what I mean? It's like, But it's kind of that like unbridled hateness that comes out of people's mouths. That's like, you people need to look at your fucking shadow. Just look at your dark side. Look at your id. Yeah, I mean it too. There's a, like, and I mean that in all aspects. Some things not being evil or some things being good. I mean, like, look at it. I mean, you got to acknowledge that you're kind of a hypocrite when you talk about peace and love, but you want to hate another person for who they are. That to me is stupid. And again, it's this kind of like, hypocrisy too. And it's this hatred towards people who are different from you and who are not sheep, who are not fucking sheep, and we praise people. We praise people in movies for not being the sheep. We love the individual. We've always loved the individual. Why do you think we make movies about certain individuals? Action leads, like cops and firefighters or military men and men of action. Why do we think we love watching like people rise from mediocrity to being a hero? You know what I mean? We enjoy the individual because this country is built upon by individuals, not by a collective or a group, not by that. That is a fucking falsehood that say, oh, we're all immigrants. Nah, not really. I mean, yes, my ancestors came from a different country. My family immigrated over on a boat. Don't fucking bullshit me on this. Don't fucking bullshit me on this. I was born in this country. I'm not an immigrant. I'm a citizen of the United States of America. I am. I was born in this goddamn country. This makes me an American. And don't give me this bullshit, oh, all your ancestors were born somewhere. I'm born here. I'm born here. I wasn't born in fucking Europe, and I don't give a shit about the Europe politics over there. It's all screwy over there. It looks nice and everything, but to be honest with you, they're kind of fucked up. I like it over here because we all speak the same language, we all speak the same code. We can understand each other's pains and pains and happiness and joys and stuff like that. But yet you don't want that. You want us divided. And then you've got this whole virus shit going around, being like, nobody's wearing a mask. The unvaccinated, but the vaccinated are getting sick and they need to take the mask, and it's like, and then you now you want to blame the unvaccinated. You want to blame the unmasked. You want to blame just regular Americans who are healthy and are not feeding into the fucking fear that the CDC and the Democratic Party and the fucking leftist news media, and yes, I'm sorry if I'm sounding right wing, but you know what? They're feeding into it the most. Some Republicans just don't give a shit. It's not to say they don't care about lives, but they're not going to live their life in fucking fear. Because we've got an elderly old man screaming at people, being like, yeah, we're going to nuke you, or, yeah. It's like, come on, yeah. You know what, this is my problem with Joe Biden. He acts like a tough guy, but clearly he is a fucking frail, demented man. That's what he is. He's not special. He's not perfect, all right? In fact, he's beyond perfect. He's beyond perfect and not in imperfection, because he's falling apart. His son's a crackhead who probably has some shit on like the laptop. He sniffs fucking children, for God's sakes. You talk about Donald Trump being a fucking ass. Where's the evidence of Donald Trump being a fucking, sniffing people? Oh, yeah, they grab him by the pussy. You know what? I'm sorry, but everybody keeps talking about grabbing men by the balls. Oh, you don't like it when someone says grab them by the pussy? Fuck you. Fuck you, you fucking hypocrites. You're the same motherfuckers, and this is the thing that really pisses me off, because I want to talk about this main motherfucking thing. You're the same motherfuckers out there who were fighting against the censorship from the right constantly in the 80s, and then the 90s came and everybody loved it, but then there were still those people who wanted that political correctness in there. Yes, you knew how to stand over the line of censorship, but you knew how to get around the censors. That's why writing was so good back then, because they had to really work how to tell a story without being blunt, but being kind of sugar-coated to a degree where it felt blunt. You know what I mean? And nowadays, you don't have that. You don't have that. You still have this self-censorship from people, and especially from the left, who talk about, like, okay, if a woman's in a bikini, let's say this, the bikini woman, the right will say it's immoral to have a half-naked woman. The left will say it is sexist to have a half-naked woman. It's all about a moral code. At least the right's honest about what they're trying to say there, as the left is using fucking word salad and fucking intellectual in word battle, you know, using a high charisma in speech. They're saying it's immoral too. You gotta realize this. The left has to fucking realize this. Look, I don't care for censorship either way. I used to, in the sense of what I described before. It was an obstacle. You need an obstacle. You need to figure. You can't just let people be blunt. You gotta let them kind of have to tell a story for kids that's intelligent enough not to insult them, and silly enough not to be too serious. You know, you have to have a balance. You don't have that anymore. And especially with, like, Hollywood hating its fans and, you know, telling them, oh, we did nothing wrong. You came back full circle. You're calling these people losers. You took the rug right under their legs. You did. You know, this is why you have superhero movies and shit like that, you know, kind of not going into the comic area. Oh, it's accurate, but we're not going to mention the word supervillain. We're not going to mention the word superhero. Oh, we're going to mention the word, you know, this word and that word. Oh, we're not going to mention magic. Oh, there's a reason behind it, you know, because you want to prove to these fucking, like, snobs that this is, you know, this is intelligent. Who fucking cares about the snobs? Do I care about Roger Ebert? And this has always been a thing that pisses me off in gaming. Do I give a shit about Roger Ebert in video games? I don't care to convince him. He's dead already, but I didn't care to convince him because you know what? Video games, I consider video games art. It's like the same thing with, like, art. You go into an art museum, you know, you look at all the paintings, you look at all the art, the sculptures, everything. You know, a lot of people think weaponry is not art, but yet it's in a museum. A lot of people think nudity is immoral, but yet it's in a museum. There's a lot of people who think modern art's kind of stupid, yet it's in a museum. And it's interesting because it is a contrast, because with classic art, it's focusing on, you know, the beauty, like common beauty. You're trying to recapture that beauty onto a canvas, you know, like portraits and stuff like that. You know, the only look we have of George Washington, there was no cameras back then. So you had an artist try to make that person look who they are. You know, it's the same thing with, like, you know, it's the same thing with video games, you know, and movies and theater. There's a lot of theater people who think, like, back then thought movies were just, you know, flash in the pan. Same thing with the movie people who think, you know, video games are a flash in the pan. Probably the theater people think that too. They think lesser of that, you know, in comic books too. But that got proved. It got proved right. You know, yet now it's kind of come full circle with the nerd culture, because it's like now it's the people who, you know, fought for nerd culture telling everybody to grow the fuck up. Kevin Smith. Excuse me, Mr. I cried over Star Wars and fictional shit. Grow the fuck up, fuck you. Telling me to fucking go fuck yourself, alright? And basically Star Wars is basically, and Star Trek told you to go fuck yourself, audience. You know, it told you that you were not important to the fucking structure. They needed the common core denominator because they wanted to make money. This was never about money for these fucking people who made the shit. This was about telling the story, telling our values and moral stories and stuff like that. You know, and then you've got, and this is the core of the argument I'm trying to make. Then you've got, like, celebrities who, and I'm probably going on long on this one, so I'm probably gonna have to cut this down. You have celebrities like Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know, insulting his fans, calling, you know, screw your freedom if you don't want to get a vaccine. Oh, you know, you don't want to get a vaccine? Screw your freedom. Excuse me, Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger? Screw my freedom? Fuck your freedom. You came over here on a goddamn fucking boat, you know, acting all confident bodybuilding, and then you came up to Vince Gironda and he called you a fat fuck. He looked at you one time and said you look like a fat fuck. The first ripped dude in this fucking country was Vince Gironda, a real fucking bodybuilder. None like you, Schwarzenegger, who took steroids, which, honestly, I don't blame you for taking steroids. You were a lot better steroid user than like modern day ones. Everybody looks like a super mutant. You look like a god, but Vince Gironda was a god. He was a fucking badass dude. 36 eggs a day diet, which, by the way, in your fucking vegan documentary, The Game Changer, your fucking whole career was built upon eating meat, red especially, eggs, milk, because babies drink milk. Well, you know what? I'm a baby, goo goo gaga. And milk's delicious, and better than beer, which raises your fucking estrogen, you fucking German kraut. But then again, it's funny that you worked out and drank beer. I honestly, that's fucking badass. But geez Louise, don't tell me I'm a fucking loser, alright? And you know what, I have to admit, the Bigger, Stronger, Faster documentary kind of proved it. The one dude was like, yeah, he's waving at you like here, but he's flipping you off down here because you can't see this. And this is what's now available. You know, it's, you see the ugliness of Schwarzenegger now. And it pisses me off, too. It really pisses me off. Because it's like, dude, I respect Schwarzenegger's like movie. Like, I respect him as an actor. I really do. I respect him as like an icon of film. He's what, like, if you want to say what a movie star is, that guy. He's he's my generation's John Wayne. Like a wacky, you know, the bizarre adventures of a wacky Austrian farm boy who goes on becoming a Terminator, who goes on to become Conan the Barbarian, which, you know what, he walked right into that role. He didn't try to transform himself. He didn't, like, try to work into it. He walked right into it. He became Conan. It's like, here's a sword. Take your shit. Wear this loincloth. You're now a barbarian. And he was like, this feels natural. I like it. And you know what? He's charismatic. Watch Pumping Iron. He oozes charisma. You know, watch that, and you understand why he became a movie star. You understand why he became an action lead. You understand why he's in that trifecta with Stallone and fucking Willis. He is an icon, and nowadays he's a fucking hack, telling me to screw my freedom. The man who came over here and basically is one of the embodiments of the American dream. One of the embodiments of an American dream. You know what I mean? People talk about what's the American dream. It's being successful and making yourself a king in this country. That's the American dream. To quote the King from Fallout New Vegas, being a king is not a title. It's not like this thing where you wear robes. It's not materialistic things. A king is somebody with a mindset of a king. In this country, every man in his own right is a king in his own, you know, every man is a king in his own right. This is what America is. That's why Elvis is the king. He's the example of that too. That's the American dream. This rockabella southern boy singing, becoming like the king of rock and roll. My God, and nobody fucking sees that. Everybody's tearing people down. Elvis is a king. The Rock is a king. Kevin Hart, you know, Stallone, for fuck's sake. Willis too. Well, Willis has become a fucking hack. The only one that like out of those three has been, you know, has been solid as a rock is Stallone. Stallone, like, you look at Rambo and Rocky, those are like his sides. Rambo is more of his darker, like Edgar Allan Poe side, that kind of like dreary existential, like life is not beautiful, it is ugly, like that kind of thing, you know, beauty within the darkness. And then you look at Rocky, it's beauty within the light. This is a dude who's just a fun-loving dude, and then you look at Rambo, who's just like a man ready to be unleashed onto the world. You know, it's fucking amazing. But again, it kind of frustrates me to see icons I grew up like watching become like absolute assholes, like absolute fucking assholes who don't care guys. You can see the nastiness come out of them, and it's like horrific. It's horrific when you see somebody that you like idolize, in a sense, like idolize to like respect and like, you know, take the flaws with them, and then just see them just like give in to like just evil under the guise of goodness, under the guise of, you know, healing and progress. They become vicious. This is like, if you've ever watched Fallout, if you've ever, like, I mentioned Fallout because I think Fallout's a very prolific game. A lot of people like don't know what kind of Fallout they really want. I mean, you've got the darker edge Fallout games and that old school gameplay of click and point, but then you got the new school of like, you know, more action oriented, you know, skill based and all that. It's not a roll of the dice anymore, which I honestly respect as like a gamer. Like, I do like the skill based idea than like the roll of the dice. You can throw a little roll of the dice in there, but the truth is, it's like, you know, I feel like in life you have to be more skillful, and luck is kind of a skill thing to have. It's like timing meets, you know, it's preparation meets timing. So. But it's just, again, I look at it and I'm like, why is this like this? Why is this like... You know, and again, it's these people who've lost their integrity. Who've lost their fucking integrity. They've lost, you know, their code of ethics. You know, they've lost, like, their humanity in a sense. They've lost that identity to be like, yo, let's look at both sides of the story. You know, it's the same thing with the, like, how people compare the January 6th shit, which I saw it too, and know what I saw? I saw angry Americans go in and just make a mess of the Capitol. Didn't destroy it, didn't burn it down, didn't wreck anything. They just took, like, they basically just dirtied the place up, made it into a mess. This is going to be historical. Historians are going to look at this and, like, you know, if you compare it to the riots that have been going on, the riots for George Floyd and, you know, all the Democratic cities letting it happen, all the cities being destroyed and blown up and people losing their lives and people getting maimed and people getting sued and arrested for helping, people being defamed and people being, you know, villainized and shit like that. That January 6th was tamed, and you can't see that? Oh, they stormed the Capitol. This is a surge in America. Oh my goodness. What, because their jobs got at risk? Fuck them. I'm sorry, but politicians are the biggest crybabies in this fucking country, and they're making everybody else into fucking crybabies as well. You look at fucking army men, fucking veterans, and you hear that SJW nonsense come out of their mouth. I'm sorry, but I respect you as somebody who's a soldier, but that's as far as it goes. I don't agree with your fucking opinions. And before you do the whole, well, you know, I fought in wars and you are invalid. I'm sorry, but this is not Starship fucking Troopers, okay? Fuckface, okay? This ain't Starship Troopers, alright? Just because you fought in a war for oil, and I don't want to say that it was just not for oil. How you don't like that when you hear that because you were just fighting a war for resources, and no soldier wants to fight for that. A soldier fights for his country. A soldier fights for his country, not for materialistic, not for resources. We negotiate people for resources. You don't lose lives over fucking resources. You fight for fucking what is right. World War II, example. We had to stop the axis of evil from taking over the world. Because there was a man who was trying to take over the world. And he had superior weaponry. Same thing with the communists. Whoever has shot first. It was a Cold War, but there was two power players at hand. You know? But then you look at Vietnam. Like, why were they there? Why were they there? You look at the Gulf of Tonkin incident and you wonder why. What's going on here? You know, same thing with why Kennedy got shot. People want to say, he rejected that. He rejected that bullshit of, oh, we'll try to coax ourselves into the war so people can get behind us. You know, oh, we'll say the Russians blew the ship down. Look that up. He said no, and they shot him for that. Look at the wars after that. You know? Jeez Louise. And again, I don't hate the soldier. I don't hate the dedication of a soldier. I hate the fact that, you know, they will have, and again, most people have shit opinions, but it's opinions that are like, you kind of lose respect for. You know what I mean? It's like, wait a minute, you agree with this SJW bullshit? You agree with this leftist communistic nonsense? What? Like, you fought for this country. Yes, I get it. But yet, you're not proud of it? You're upset about a bunch of people who were mixed in with vets for January 6th? I'm sorry, but no. I know I'm going to get hated on for this, but January 6th was not an insurrection. And you can look at that. It's plain as day, absolutely there, naked as a jaybird. Nothing was burnt down, just the things that could get easily replaced. You just didn't like the fact that they were ruining your workspace. That the fucking fire that you lit came to your house. Your place of worship for all these Democrats. Which, by the way, that's what their new god is, the state. And again, I get pissed off with these veterans who say, oh, your argument is invalid. Excuse me? Why is my argument invalid? Because, oh, I didn't serve? Well, I know people who served, and I worry about them. You know, we should have respect for the vets. We don't want the 60s happening again. We don't want that happening again, where they were coming back and hippies, fucking peace. And this is another thing, history. This is why it rhymes. The hippies spat on the Vietnam vets when they came back. No respect for them. They just roll them up with the fucking, you know, with the fucking politicians. They were angry at the politician, and not the. But they were more angry. But they were lashing out the vets, calling them baby killer and shit. You look at Rambo, that's a true fucking statement right there. I know my uncle. Like, my uncle tells a story. And it's not like you can tell in his face how fucking like he has a hatred for the hippies, and I kind of do too. You know, yeah, peace, love, and when you actually have at least some fucking integrity. You know what I mean? You gotta understand, like, you gotta get into the mind of a soldier. Like, their whole purpose is to serve their country, to serve, sacrifice for their motherland, for the ideas that it stands for, the good ideas. Yet you spat on them? You shit on them? You smoked a bunch of pot? It's like the same thing why I'm so pissed off that Grandpa from fucking Rugrats is a fucking hippie, because the hippies were fucking nasty to the vets. The hippies were nasty to the fucking vets. I'm sorry, like, you know, that's what I loved about him. He was a cranky old dude, but he actually had some integrity. He actually had some fucking, you know, ground in him, you know what I mean? Like, the parents are boomers. Like, they should have been the ones to be like, you know, the hippies. That's the duality there. It's like, I know I'm going off topic, but fuck it. It's just so fucking annoying to see that. It's like, have some fucking respect. It's just so fucking frustrating, man. And again, going back to it, it's like, it's just sad to see people, like, hating on you for just being, like, different. For being, you know, who you want to be instead of what the lie is. They agree with it. And there's some things you gotta agree with. Yes, the universal truths, but there's some things people have different opinions on. You know what I mean? Like, as somebody, yes, I'm going to throw some politics at you. I'm a Republican, but I think legalizing weed is a good thing. You know, I do think, yes, there should be gay marriage. You know what I mean? Yes, and I do think people should accept each other, including the church. I think the church should just acknowledge gay people. Look, I don't agree with your lifestyle, but as long as you're not hurting people, that's cool. That's absolutely cool. You know, my faith doesn't believe in gay marriage, but that doesn't stop you from being happy. It's like, doesn't mean I hate you. It doesn't. It shouldn't be a thing to be hateful on. If somebody's happy, you should let them be happy. They worship a different God. Not in that sense, but they worship a God that's not the Christian ethos. They're worshiping a God that's based in Christianity, but it's like, does God really hate gays? No, and I don't think Satan does either. And Never mind, I was talking about that music video. But I don't think, this is the thing. Christians don't hate gay. Like, why can't you accept them? It's like, they're not, you can't convince the Christians and you can't convince the gays. Just be happy with each other. Be like, okay, let's have a barbecue, That's it. Alright, I gotta get going. Everybody, I love you. Peace be with you. And remember not to try not to kill each other. Come on now. Peace.